You were gushing at that moment, and you are trying to
And
front right
Daitwan
now.
was hating at that moment.
I'm gonna talk my talk. You were gushing at that moment, and in that moment, also, you try to front to the viewers right now, talking about you almost were about to cry. You cried.
I cried.
You cried.
I held it in. I held it in.
While we were
I
teaching.
got through the session. I got through the class. And at the end of the class, when everybody, all the students had left, I bawled.
You did.
I
And
did.
so, and I maybe I laughed a little bit to your tears, but I was hating a little
He
bit,
did. Because he
right?
was
Because in the
hating.
middle,
Because he ain't seen none of his kids in there.
I didn't see any
And
of mine, right? Like showing me love or whatever. But so I decided to bring them onto the show. I brought three. You had one.
exactly.
I had three that I
You
worked
see
with.
how he got to one up me, y'all? He can't
I had,
never just let me live.
you know how it is. You know how it is. So here we are.
You are now tuned in to the On Track with All My People podcast with your hosts, Amber Peters, A.K.A. Ms. P.
And Daitwan David, A.K.A. Dr. Change, ain't nothing strange about it, A.K.A. Mr. David, A.K.A. Ayo Miss.
Oh my God, Daitwan, can we just start the show already?
Oh, Amber, we are beginning the conversation before the conversation. Okay, so you and I had an opportunity to guest a lecture at John Jay, courtesy of Professor Simon, Sherry Simon.
Shout out to Sherry.
Shout out to Sherry. And you had an emotional moment with one of the last students that you had while you were teaching.
Listen. Why
Describe that moment.
You always got to be putting my business out there.
That's what I do. Describe that moment for our viewers. Like, what was going on?
Wait, first of all, let's say that we had like a really great guest lecture. We can add guest lecturer to our resume, right? If y'all got a class that you want to bring us into, like, call us. We did that. But yeah, like it was pretty cool because I think before we even had the conversation, me and Sherry was on before everybody came on, and I was telling her, I said, you know what's so crazy about our work is that once the students leave college, it's really difficult for us to kind of see what happens next, right? And I had just said that to her. So imagine our surprise. We are presenting. We are like just getting through the intro part of it. And we have our students that are there. They're, sharing who they are and, kind of bringing us into their world in a sense. And I find out that one of the students on there, she's like, hey, are you from Opportunity Charter School? And I was like, yeah, but like the way the Zoom was set up, they were on top and they were so small and tiny. I couldn't really see her.
Right,
so I really looked at the name and then I looked at the face and I was like, oh my gosh, I had such a moment. I just want you guys to know, like, I was legit about to be in tears because that was the first thing I was saying. Was like, I don't know where these kids end up half the time, right? Like, unless they live on my block or something like that, like I have no idea what happens on the other side unless, they make their presence known. So to see this young lady, she was in my 11th grade job club class. I used to teach a class about college and career readiness. And her crew was probably like my favorite students, right? And like to get to see her in college, like actually doing the thing, it made me so proud, like so proud. And like she had some great answers and insight. And it was just like, wow, to see this young lady grow up, it was like the best day of my life. Best moment ever. Perfect moment.
You were gushing at that moment, and you are trying to front right now.
Was hating at that moment.
I'm gonna talk my talk. You were gushing at that moment, and in that moment, also, you try to front to the viewers right now, talking about you almost were about to cry. You cried.
I cried.
You cried.
I held it in.
While we were teaching.
I got through the session. I got through the class. And at the end of the class, when everybody, all the students had left, I bawled.
You did.
I did.
And I maybe I laughed a little bit to your tears, but I was hating a little bit.
Because he was hating. In the middle, he ain't seen none of his kids in there.
I didn't see any of mine, right? Like showing me love or whatever. But so I decided to bring them onto the show. I brought three. You had one.
Exactly.
I had three that I worked with.
You see how he got to one up me, y'all? He can't never just let me live.
You know how it is. You know how it is. So here we are. Amber, kick us off for this episode. The people want the
Welcome to
introduction.
On Track with All My People. Today we are going to be talking about student pathways with your girl, Miss P, and
Daitwan David, A.K.A. Dr. Change. Ain't nothing strange about it. And
Inspiration Holleration man himself.
there we go. There we go. Don't judge me. So for sure, we are about to bring on some guests in a second.
Yes.
And I just want the world to know that I'm petty and punitive, right? Like Amber had her moment where she was able to say, like, hey, I haven't seen this young lady in all of these years, and now she is in college, and I'm able to see what she's doing. I'm bringing on 3 phenomenal ladies, Black girl magic,
Period.
that have gone through different pathways. I'm going to start off with Brianna, right? Brianna McLetchie's bio. She's a college assistant and college student at College of Staten Island. She's about to graduate a semester early. She is all about the good vibes, and she is a dog mom. That's 1 of 3. Let's get to 2 of 3. All right, we got Medjine Jean Marie. She's a Macaulay honors student at Baruch. She's currently a junior, majoring in finance and minoring in real estate. Her superpower is organization, but she didn't feel too confident about it because she gave me like the quotes. She was born in Haiti, first-gen student, bilingual fluent in Haitian Creole, planning to study in Switzerland in the fall. She's also a part of many different clubs in her school. Yeah. She's doing the thing.
Yes, ma'am.
And last but not least, I've been following this young lady for years. We'll talk about her story. We have Tamir, the Florimonte's bio, self-employed makeup artist for the last 8 years. 7 of the years was part-time and 1 year has been full-time. An entrepreneur that has a following on social media. That little makeup girl, please follow her. Her superpower is that she specializes in soft glam makeup. I have no idea what that means, but I'm wondering if a player like me can get glammed up. Maybe not. And she did makeup. She did makeup for New York Fashion Week at 16 years old.
Get it, girl.
Girls, let's welcome to the show, Medjine, Tamir, and Brianna. Ladies, welcome. All right, so we're gonna get to the interview, but let me talk about this real quick. You mentioned, and this is not me trying to one you up. They were, I believe, one of the last groups that I worked with at John Jay. Before I wound up, transitioning or whatever. Phenomenal group of ladies. They don't remember that I interviewed them 3 or 4 years ago. I'm going to send them the interview. Maybe I'm going to clip it here. Unfortunately, because of Corona and COVID, the level of work and relationships I was hoping to establish with y'all junior year did not happen. Some of y'all I have been able to really work with over the past couple of months. Others I have not. But I spoke to Medjine, and we recognized that Medjine doesn't hold her tongue. She's outspoken. And I was like, Medjine, I want to be able to understand your peoples. Who do you rock with? And she mentioned that y'all were her squad, y'all were her group, y'all were gang, right? Right. Like I'm gonna tell it. Like things have changed, right? But some of the things have definitely remained the same. Ladies, we're going to get started. Of course, we want to make sure that y'all are warmed up. Thank you for all of your amazing lighting. Some of y'all are nervous, but you're not going to be nervous in a few minutes. We're going to bring y'all back to that interview, which I'm glad y'all don't remember because y'all said some things that stuck out to me. I just watched the interview again this week, and we're going to bring that back on right now. So, Amber, talk to us about our energizer.
Oh, okay. So it's called Who in the Group. Okay. We are trying to figure out who in the group said what. And it's based on stuff you said years ago. So good luck. I hope y'all remember what you said.
100%.
All right. So y'all ready? All right. So who in the group said, I was eating chicken with another group member and he asked, where did you get your chicken from? Which is the story of how they
That
met.
was me.
So yes, I already know.
I remember this now. Okay. That was
Yeah. That's what happened. Okay. Who in the group said this quote? I had people tell me that the same people you start high school with, they're not going to be the same friends you end up with. I found this group off the bat. It was so natural. We clicked easily. Who said that?
Had to be
Tamir. Me? Really?
Couldn't be me.
It
probably was me.
It was Medjine. It was Medjine.
See?
It was Medjine.
She was like, "Did I say that?" She was questioning it. All right, next one. Who in the group said this group came natural? It never felt forced. It made going to school easier, and it made it fun.
Brianna. Yeah, that's something Brianna would say. No. Oh, Tamir.
Brianna is killing it. It was Tamir.
It was
Tamir. Brianna is killing it right now. All right.
Brianna never said nothing.
Okay.
I was like, nope, not me.
That's hilarious.
Brianna ain't talked the whole interview.
The whole interview. Who in the group was considered the mom that tells everyone what to do, how to do it?
Brianna.
You also said,
that's definitely me.
I love how he didn't even finish the question.
I want to finish this quote. This person was said to believe the mom that's going to say, "Do you have McDonald's money?"
That word, Bianna.
100%.
Okay.
Say, okay, who in the group was big Black Lives Matter issues and thought to themselves, maybe I can be a lawyer or activist?
That was me.
Tamir said me. I already know. That sounds like it.
Yeah, okay. I am going to the next one. Who in the group is considered a homebody, calm, smart, kind of the mom and the mean in the group and stingy with sharing answers before homework deadlines?
Medjine.
Oh, that's me.
I love how self-aware you are. So that's definitely me.
So, ladies, thank you for taking the opportunity to play that game. Brianna was in the lead when answering most of the questions. So it is really dope to kind of hear your backstory of how y'all got connected. Before we kind of get into like, I guess this next part of what is most important for the show, I want to kind of figure out like, what have y'all done? Like, how have y'all been able to stay friends all of these years? Especially there is a stigma amongst women being able to kind of really like stay connected and down and supportive of each other for years, especially as you're growing. How y'all been able to kind of stay together?
Okay, I could go. I would say honestly, trying our best to like meet up when we can, which can be very, very hard because 9 times out of 10, our schedules don't align. Like somebody got work, or, Tamara may have a client, somebody got this, somebody got something. So it's been hard, trying to find times to meet up. But I think just like staying in communication when we can and just, trying to meet up when we can.
Appreciate
I
that.
feel like it's us being understanding that we do have our own lives and that, just not taking it personal when we're not able to really see each other that often. We don't really take it personal. So I feel like that helps as well. Like we don't really clash.
Yeah, and I feel like the communication is there for us as young adults. Like we're able to communicate with one another, telling each other like, "Oh, this won't work," or "This will work," and then we just go from there. Like it's as they said, like we're really understanding of knowing like how to connect, I guess, in a sense. So it's been going good.
That's amazing. So Amber and I are celebrating 10 years of like knowing each other and years of partnership. And within that, we've been growing in the space as well, like being able to kind of grow individually and share like what's happening with each other and learn from each other. Amber, we've kind of talked about like the old way of college access, which was essentially like everybody must go to college. And in this particular episode, we're going to be exploring something different. What do you remember about that time frame of like everybody must go to college? This is what needs to happen. What do you think was going on then? Why was that the message that was happening at that time, Amber?
I mean, one, right? Like at some point, college was promoted as like the fast track to the middle class, right? It was college going culture all the time, right? You got to have it on your doors. You got to have it, right? You got to wear your college sweatshirt so the kids can see that you went to college, right? Like that was the conversation always. And I think also like, when we think about also our immigrant families, because I'm a part of an immigrant family, like that's the American dream. You go to college, you start your life, right? Like it's part of the culture here. But I think what we're experiencing now is a cultural shift, right? Where we're seeing college is not the only pathway that turns into something fruitful for students. And I think now that we have finally caught on, right? Like, because I feel like a lot of the times we was behind the times. I love America, but we was behind the times, right? Like in other places, they had like everybody has their function in society. Not everybody's going to go to college. Some people are going to go to college. Some people are going to go to trade schools. Some people are going to go directly into the workforce. And I feel like other places got it, right? But here we were like, no, college is it. You got to go to college. But now we're seeing, you know, with the rise of micro credentials, certificate programs, and all these different things, there are so many other ways that you can get educated and get the money that you want. So I'm happy we kind of divorcing the old way. The old way works for some people, but the old way don't work for everybody.
That's 100% absolutely true. And, you know, there was a shift. As much as I could, I wanted to support students in being able to figure out like their particular path, what is most important for them, and then like support them like really through that. When you and I talked and prep for this episode, you wanted to kind of speak to the young ladies about like what was happening back then, like being able to kind of take us to their senior year. And you had some questions. So I'm gonna allow you to have access to the young ladies that I have brought onto this show, right? Like
you allow me, y'all.
Allow you to have access.
I get permission, y'all. But like, okay, like the one thing that I would love to know, right? Like I want you to go back in time. I want you to put yourself in a time machine. I want you to go back to your senior year, right? And I want you to answer this question. If, right, your senior year was a TV show, right? Like what character would you have played, right? What would that character have been like? It doesn't have to be like an actual character that was there, but like if I had to answer this for myself, I would say the character I played was a chameleon, right? I fit in with all social groups. And I was authentically myself, right? I didn't have to conform or shape. Like it was just natural for me. Like I could connect with pretty much anybody. So I was a part of lots of different social groups. So that's what I would consider myself if I would think about my high school self. So for you guys, what character would you have played?
I don't think I have a specific character I would play, to be honest. Like nothing really comes to mind, but to describe the character, I would probably say somebody that's like to myself, because that's how I was. Like I'm a quiet person, but I'm also somebody that's not afraid to like put myself out there in a sense, you know, like as you mentioned, I was able to hang around with different groups of people, even if I didn't do it as often as I would hang around with, you know, Tamir and Medjine and our other friends. But I was just more so, I guess, quiet. Of course, fun. Can't forget fun. And then funny, because I'm the funniest person I know. They can vouch for me. They know I've made them laugh. So yeah.
I love that. The self-awareness. I love it. Any other one of you ladies?
So senior year or high school?
Senior year, high school, whatever you feel like is better for you.
So through high school, I feel like I was the character that was I feel like I was outgoing, but I also feel like I was very disliked. So like outgoing, but disliked, and I couldn't understand why because I was so outgoing, like, and I was nice. I don't think I was really mean, was I? Okay, anyways, I was a nice person. I was outgoing, and I was also disliked, and I would say I was the main character. I'm gonna just say that I was the main character. And I was captain of the cheerleading team, so that's main character energy.
That's
what you see in the movies.
Talk your big talk.
Character energy. Brianna, what about you? I mean, Medjine, sorry.
Like Brianna said, I don't have a specific character that comes to mind, but I guess my character was someone who was serious about their schoolwork. Like I was always in class, making sure I turned in my work on time. I joined many clubs, like National Honor Society. I did frat. I did flag fun point. Like I was just kind of like a jack of all trades because I knew like these things would sound good. Like when I got to college, or like I could talk about these experiences. And And also probably low-key a teacher's pet because my hands stayed raised in class. So probably a little bit of that too.
So basically, she was a try hard. That's what she was.
I was not.
So question, in thinking about like who you were then, right? I want you to talk about like what did you believe about yourself and like your options after high school, right? Like, do you feel that the part that you played, right, like played into that? And like, what did you believe? Did you feel like, oh, I can do anything, right? Like, because I know we say that a lot to young people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we never know who actually believes it. Like, who actually believes the fluff? So, what did you guys think?
I guess I could go first. Well, I always knew like my path after high school was straight to college. One, because I kind of wanted to, two, because I got Haitian parents, so I kind of had no choice. Like I was going to college whether I wanted to or not. But in terms of college, I feel like I was pretty confident when doing applications, especially when I applied to like CUNYs and SUNYs. Like I never once doubted like I wasn't gonna get into one of them because like I had the grades. Like I always been sure I had the grades. So in terms of options, like I knew I wouldn't struggle like when it came to the application process. Yeah.
Okay, same here. Like I have Caribbean parents, so going to college was something that I guess you can say it was forced upon you in a sense, but it's not like I didn't want to go because, societal norm, I guess, is going to college. But then again, as far as my career path, I knew college is something that I had to do, At the end of the day, I'm going to need a college degree. So I guess going to college is something that always saw myself doing. And it's not bad. I recommend it, I guess.
Okay. So for me, it was the opposite. I didn't have like the parents that made me go to college. My mom always let me know that it was always my choice. I did go through that period of wanting to be a lawyer, which is why I went to John Jay School for Law. I went through that, so I always had it in my mind like I'm gonna have to go to college if I really want to pursue that. But it honestly didn't stick. So when it didn't stick, and I know that I was doing makeup, I knew that I didn't need college for makeup. If anything, I needed cosmetology school or something. So I did my research in that sense. And I was really into popping blackheads and pimples. So I figured out that that was called an esthetician. And my last year of high school is when I really did the research on what an esthetician is and that career field. So that's what I went to school for after high school.
I like that. So like you had to try, like in trial and error, you trying on something and trying on this career before, right? You kind of figured out, okay, well, college is not necessarily needed for this, but you also
Right.
went after the things that made sense for that particular career path. Super dope. Daitwan?
Yeah. So being able to kind of think about that, were there certain pathways that you felt the community, your family, and your peers supported more than others? Like, what was that external pressure feeling like senior year and trying to make a decision?
Woo! Okay, so for me, I like I just said that like I went through that lawyer phase, but I actually think that that ended in like ninth grade. So ever since then, I actually knew I wasn't going to college. I was like, I'm not going there. I already knew that the whole high school. But when I would say that out loud, I would always get looked at like, what you mean you're not going to college? Like by, you know, adults in the building, like everybody would just say like, what do you mean you're not going to college? And I say, I'm not going to college. You don't hear what I'm saying? Like I'm not going. That doesn't fit me. It doesn't fit what I want to do. And I know what I want to do. If anything, I'll go take a business class, but I'm not going to pay all this money for something that, it's a lot of resources out here. Plus what I want to do it requires a license and not a degree, which means that if I was to go to college, I would still have to go and pay for that license. So it didn't make any sense to me, but I really felt the pressure and I started to question my own decisions because again, it was just like, what do you mean you're not going to college? Oh, at least go to college for business, at least go for this, at least do 2 years. I'm like, why do I have to do what you want me to do?
Right.
So yeah, I really felt a little pressured in a sense.
I like that you said that because I'm thinking about like all the students that, right, like especially now that are choosing more career driven paths, right? Like they know that, maybe they know that college isn't for them, or maybe they don't know that college isn't for them, but like they know for the thing that they chose, they need to have that career path. But what I see is a lot of what you said, right? Like, but you should just do this CUNY application just in case, right? Just in case it doesn't work out, you should do this. But like, I like how you were very secure in your decision, and you said, this is what I want to do. I already know what I got to do to get into it, and like stood on that. So 100% appreciate that.
Yeah. So what's interesting is one of the last who in the group said what was actually for Tamir's. Let me read the quote. It says, I'm still a no on college. When you do something that you don't really want to do, you most likely are not going to succeed in it. I could be putting time in what I actually want to be doing. There's no reason that I can't succeed with what I want to do without college. Tamir, that was you. That was you way back when.
You stood on that. Like this is high school self talking.
High school self. And I'm going to
self stuck with it. She stood on business. I love it.
And I'm talk about the conviction that she had when I was working with all of them to kind of figure out their plans. I don't want y'all to answer this, but I'm curious. Maybe. Did any of you have a mindset shift on a pathway? Like you're just like, hey, I thought this originally about this particular pathway, but now I believe this. Right? Like maybe there was, so one person. I'm going to ask y'all, point to the person who said, college is a scam.
I mean, yeah.
No.
It might have been me though.
It was Brianna.
It might have been me.
Brianna. What has shifted for you in thinking about like the purpose of college? When you talked about this years ago, you was like, hey, I understand my pathway. College has to be a part of my pathway for what I want to pursue. But what has shifted and why has that shifted?
Okay, so like I said before, knowing that I wanted to be a lawyer, I knew I had to go to college and that I needed a college degree or whatnot. But the pathway that really shifted is not about going to college, because college, essentially to me, college is high school, but it's just bigger, Like I honestly don't feel like it's anything different in terms of like what's going on. Like you go to school, you do your work, you get out, or that's what it is like for me. But my career choice shifted like completely. Like I've started thinking about it recently, probably the past 3 months. I've been thinking like, do I still want to be a lawyer? Because I either wanted to do criminal law or immigration law. And it's just been like, do I want to be a lawyer? Maybe I want to be a surgeon, because I watch Grey's Anatomy like every single day. So for one point in time, I wanted to be a cardiothoracic surgeon, but I think that was just a phase. So I'm not doing surgery. But I think now, I don't know, maybe I want to do something in the medical field. Like, I don't know. Being a lawyer, like it's still part of what I want to be in a career path I want to choose, but I don't know if it's my all anymore. Like now it's just more so of a balancing act. Like, what are you going to do? And, being that I'm graduating a semesters early and whatnot, I don't want to waste too much time thinking about it, to delay myself, because I want to be able to get into a career quickly and things like that. So I guess I'm stuck right now. I hit a roadblock in my life at 21. I don't know which way to go. So it's a bit challenging right now, but I feel like ultimately I'm going to make a decision and, hope for the best.
I'm wondering if maybe because you said law, and then you said also, being in the healthcare field. So I'm wondering if maybe it's not necessarily the industry, it's what you'll be doing in the industry, because it sounds like advocacy is something that feels like it's popping up in both. So maybe it's something that you want to do in those things, and not necessarily a particular industry, but something that you want to do for people in the industry. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, definitely, because I always found myself to be the type of person that likes to help others. Like even with simple tasks and giving advice and stuff like that, I always found that I was that person. So it makes sense about the whole advocacy thing. But I don't know why all of a sudden my mind just changed about what I want to do. But that's just what it is.
Growth.
Yeah.
Growth. It's definitely growth. And it's taking us into a next set of questions, was looking like the other side of choice, right? So Medjine, you were somebody that since I've met you had strong convictions. Like I had to check myself based on how you were trying to check me. But you've had strong conviction all throughout in terms of having a set plan. You were super focused. Describe what you are doing now, and then like, when was this plan set for what you're doing now?
Okay. Well, what I'm doing now, like you said, I'm majoring in finance. So I knew I wanted to get into the business industry when I got to college. Like my freshman year, I knew I wanted to do something in business, but I had no idea like what that looked like because business is just so vast. There's so many different fields. But, throughout joining clubs and speaking to recruiters, doing company visits, stuff like that, I was able to get an internship last summer. I did an investment banking internship at TD Securities, which, if you don't know, is very hard to get. It's very competitive, so many interviews, and I hate interviewing so bad. So I hated it. But I did that, but now I am shifting. I'm no longer pursuing investment banking. I'm now pursuing consulting. So I do have a consulting internship for this summer, actually, to hopefully lead to a full-time offer once I complete that internship. How did I set this plan? Honestly, when I first came into John Jay, I wanted to do law too because, like Tamir said, it's John Jay School for Law. So I'm like, okay, I want to be a lawyer, so I'm gonna go there. And it's very sad to say, throughout our whole 4 years of college, we never even took a law class. Why would you name it that if we're not even going to take law classes? That's kind of ridiculous. But also early on, my mom kind of told me, no, I can't do law because that's too many years of school. And, like immigrant parents, like, they want you to go to college, get a job quick, make money, da 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 da. So she was like, that's 20 years of school. So she didn't want me to do that. So I was kind of like, okay. But one thing Haitians do support is like being a nurse and a doctor, which I
Mm-hmm.
never want to do. I do not want to take care of people. I do not care about that at all. Like that is not in my plan. So there was some kind of pressure about going into healthcare. And I had another family friend. I said, I want to go into business. He's like, well, you should do healthcare administration. I'm like, but I don't really care to go into healthcare. But he's like, that would be good for you. Da, da, da. But I'm like, I don't care about healthcare. So I don't want to go into that field. Like there's so many other things I could do. So I guess eventually I figured out I wanted to do business. So I selected a major. I'm like, I'm going to do finance and just see where it goes, honestly. So here I am.
Here's a quick follow-up question for you, Medjine. What do you wish you would have done differently to better position yourself for the opportunity that you have now?
I wish I would have done way more research. Like I said before, I was very on top of like school and stuff, but senior year, that went downhill pretty fast, especially during COVID, like doing classes at home. I just got so lazy. Like I was barely putting in any work and like preparing myself for college. So I kind of wish I was a bit more motivated senior year to do my research and just learn about what I'm getting myself into.
Appreciate that. Tamir, same question
Yeah.
along the lines of, like, explain to us, what are you exactly doing right now, and when did you set that plan?
So what I'm exactly doing right now, I am just a full-time makeup artist. And so every day or day by every other day, whenever I get clients, I just go and I make up their face. I set that in plan. I feel like I set that in plan since I was really like 9 years old. It's always been I'm going to be a makeup artist. But when I really set that plan in motion was last year. I had got a job at Macy's and I was working at a makeup company in there and I hated it. Like, a job is always cool for the first month and then nah, I don't want to get up, I don't want to go. But I was going, but I just knew that I started working there in September and I knew I wasn't gonna last there long. So by December 28th, I quit. And a week before that, because I was already thinking about quitting, but I just didn't know where to go after that because I was doing makeup part time, but it was kind of slow. So I would be really stepping out on faith to just quit this job right now. And I got a call from a person I didn't even know a week before I was planning on quitting, and she had offered me to share her suite with her salon suite, to share a room with her. She does hair, I do makeup. And she got recommended to me by a friend. So she came up with that idea and offered it to me, and I was just so stuck because that's another responsibility. I can't work in there for free, so I would have to pay every week to be in there, and I'm like, but I haven't seen a client of my own in months. How am I going to do
Mm.
that? But I took a step out on faith. I quit my job and I quit it right before the New Year. So New Year's Eve I had bookings, New Year's Day I had bookings, and then it's just been ever since then. I just made a year in December being in here, and it's been going good the whole time. Like everything that I was stressing about, I literally it was just no reason to stress. But I didn't know that at the time. But that is when I put my plan in motion to just go full throttle with doing makeup and being full time.
Nice. I love that for you. And listen, y'all better we gonna put up the social medias down below. Y'all make sure y'all follow her. If you need makeup services, you know who to go to, right? We got to keep this girl in her dream and not right. Like we don't want her to deter from the dream. So like if you need your makeup done, cool. Brianna, I have some questions for you because I heard we have a similar path that you did an associate's first and then like going after your bachelor's, which is kind of dope. But I also had some questions because I heard you ended up at CSI.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Woo! So you go from Brooklyn, you was going to Brooklyn to CSI.
Yes, but the commute isn't bad at all. From where I live on the train and the bus, I would say it's about an hour 45, but I give myself 2 hours to get there, because I don't want to be late because I have a history of being late to like everything. But yeah, the commute isn't bad at all. Yeah, the commute isn't bad at all. And why did I choose CSI? Like I remember when I was doing the whole college application process with Dr. Change, is it? Right? I was aiming high for like John Jay because again, I wanted to do law at the time and John Jay School for Law, the college and stuff like that. Criminal justice is what I wanted to do at the time. But, the grades weren't there exactly. So it was a bit of a reach. And then I'm like, okay, let's be realistic, let's just go to Brooklyn College. But then I was looking to accept the offer from Brooklyn and it's like, you never applied to Brooklyn. Like, how didn't you apply to Brooklyn? It's Brooklyn College. Everybody applied there, it's a safety school. So then I looked over my options once more, and then I saw that I chose Staten Island as a school and that they accepted me. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go with Staten Island. I had an aunt that went to Staten Island for school. So, I was okay with that, And then as far as the whole associates thing, then bachelor's thing. So with CUNY, I'm part of a group called ASAP-A's. So what it is that they split your 4 years into 2 halves. So the first 2 years and the second 2 years. So the first half of it was ASAP. And I was able to complete, my 2 years of college and I got my associate's degree in liberal arts and sciences. It's one of those up there, Yes. So it's up there on show for everybody to see. So I have an associate's degree and then I'm almost finished with my bachelor's. I'll be graduating a semester early. So around December of this year, I will, speak it into existence. I will graduate with my bachelor's degree in political science and a minor in legal studies. And maybe afterwards I might go for my master's.
Wonderful. So like question for you, because, like sometimes we get those kids that are like, I don't want to go to a community college, right? I love that you said, well, I have to be realistic. These are my choices. This is what I have going on. What do you think was the benefit of doing it that way?
Which way?
Like associates to bachelor's versus like going straight into like a bachelor's degree program?
So what it is that I did go straight into a bachelor's, with CSI. CSI, I don't think it's a community college. I think it's, the regular 4-year, I guess.
Programs.
I do? Okay, but yeah, I initially went in to do my bachelor's. I didn't think I was going to do the associates and I would go for the bachelor's. It was always the bachelor's. But then I heard that they were offering a program, like I said, called ASAP-A's, and that's how they split it into 2 years. But the benefit, I guess you can say, is that you get your associate's degree earlier. Yeah, well, not earlier because it's the same 2 years, but maybe if someone decided, oh, you know what, I don't want to do the bachelor's anymore, you at least have a degree to your name, Like I feel like something like that is beneficial in a sense. And for people who don't want to go to college, like, okay, there's no problem not going to college or anything. Because as Tamir said, college wasn't something she wanted to do based off her career choice, which is totally fine. I wouldn't go to college if I didn't have to go because I needed a degree, Like it's not bad, but
It's okay. Let's just go with that. But I would definitely recommend if you did want to go to college, or if you had to go, do 2 years and just get it over with, because 2 years went by really fast for me. Like I felt like I was just, leaving high school and we just graduated and stuff like that. And I'm almost done.
This
Almost to
is
the finish
awesome.
line.
Super awesome. Question: what would you like? Is there anything that you feel like you would have done over?
In terms of college, or
So yeah, in terms of college, in terms of your path, in terms of your choices, was there anything that you felt like you would have did differently?
So as far as high school and like senior year, we didn't really get to do much because of the whole COVID scene and stuff like that. I held a grudge against that for a little bit, but it's like, it's whatever now, it's okay. I didn't get to go to prom, but hey. Um, but for college, the only thing I would say I would do differently is probably I would have dormed, And the reason why I didn't dorm originally is because I never like the idea of sharing a room with a random stranger. Like, who are you? Why are you sleeping next to me? And then you hear like all these stories about people poisoning people or harming people, then they're going through their underwear drawer. Like, I wasn't on any of that, I'm not that type of person. But then at times I'm thinking like, how freshman year is, and like the movies, and everybody's going to all these parties and it's so much fun, and like, that college lifestyle, I guess, is what I kind of missed out on, and when I didn't decide to dorm. But I'm not 100% mad at it,
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing would probably be, being that I'm almost done, I would say I wish I had networked more a little bit and build more connections and stuff like that. Like that's very important and very beneficial to you, especially when you're ready to go out there and step into a career field. But then it's like, I don't have these connections, or I don't have as much connections as I wish I did. So I guess putting myself out there a little bit more is something that I wish I'd done. And joining clubs. Clubs are really important. But then again, I feel like it's also, a 50-50 thing. Like I didn't feel like the atmosphere at CSI was very welcoming in terms of joining clubs. Like you would get the emails and stuff, but like they weren't really out there getting you to join. It's like, okay, I sent you an email. That's just what it is and stuff like that. But you got to do what you got to do on your own. So yeah.
That's real. Thank you for sharing that. Quickly, I have one quick question and a question before we transition. What would you say are like maybe the top 2 or 3 benefits of the ASAP ACE programs? Like what did they give you that helped you to succeed?
Okay, so instantly that free Metro card sold me. Like they didn't have to say anything else about anything except for that free Metro card. Cause like who's paying $290 all the time, every day, So the Metro card sold me, as well as the stipend that they give you. I think it's $250, $350. They give you a stipend for your textbooks and stuff like that. So that's really good, because at first it used to be in your student account, so you would have to buy books with it. But now it's in your direct deposit. So let's just say I got a little bit of pocket change to do whatever. Um, and then I guess like the different support that you get, and like you get not your own individual advisor, but I guess the advisor in a sense is good because, my advisors that I went through, I've had 2 advisors from freshman year to now. They've both been very helpful and stuff like that. In the cases where I didn't understand certain things, or I just needed some advice, they did what they were supposed to do as an advisor. So shout out to them.
I really do appreciate that. The last question I have for you is, I've had many different students have applied to CSI, but a lot do not succeed. Like they actually are like dropping out within the first couple of months. It's either the commute, it's not like, matching their interests. What would you say is like one key thing you would want people to understand if they're choosing to go to CSI? Like they're applying to CSI, this is how you survive CSI, for the first year, at least the first year.
Okay. So CSI is more of I don't want to say secluded school, but it's in an area where it's like not much going on there. And I know a lot of people probably look for that like city life school and, very energetic and stuff like that. So they're more suburban, like it's really mellow over there. And the commute, like I said, is a lot sometimes, but it's not terrible. So I don't I don't know if I have any advice to give everybody, because I feel like it's the person as an individual, how they see everything.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for me, like, we left high school out of COVID and stuff like that. So I was never the one that, went to school and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I went to school to do my work and get out. and home right after. That's how it was for me. You know, it wasn't any making friends or anything like that because of COVID. Everybody was so much to themselves. But I would say really just focus on doing what you have to do, you know, do your work and get out. Or if you want to do your work and then join a club, join a club. Just have fun, you know, you're young, you're freshman. It'll be okay if you mess up. But CSI is nice. CSI is a good school. I recommend it.
I love it. I love it. We're gonna shift to Tamir. This is your spotlight. Soft glam is your superpower. We talked about that earlier. Tamir, I remember working with you in the process. And there's many different students that I've worked with that were saying like college was not for them. There was only two students, and both of them were at John Jay, that I've worked with that say, hey, college is not for me. And I did not necessarily have to push back. And that's because y'all came in with convictions. The other young lady decided to go to the armed forces and she had a plan. Like she wasn't running away from something. She was running towards what her passion was. Similar to you. Like you were running towards your passion. You were just like, Mr. David, I hear that. I respect that. I'm going to do these things just to make sure nobody's on my case in terms of like just having an application as a backup. But this is my plan. You were talking about like establishing like a business, getting the paperwork done. And like you were having those real conversations at 17 and 18 years old. And like, you know, Amber and I were still in the space of trying to figure all that stuff out for ourselves. Right.
Seriously.
So you had convictions. You were 10 toes down before that was really even a thing. So there was a lot that I'm sure that you had to deal with. You talked about it earlier, like people not believing or supporting you and wanting to like go through that pathway. My question is, what did you feel? What did it feel like for people not to really support your plan for yourself?
So I feel like when you're young and you're doing something, you have a vision for something, you strongly believe in it, it it actually really offends you. And it takes a toll when you feel like you're not being supported and like you're not being heard and you're not being seen. Especially when you're doing something that's kind of out of the normal, you're young. So it wasn't a good feeling. But I had to learn to kind of get out of my feelings and support myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm the only one whose money's going to be invested into this. I'm the only one who has to invest my time. I'm the only one who has to do this, period. So I should be the only one who matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
I really had to learn that over the years. And even before I was, not before I was doing makeup. I was always doing makeup throughout high school, but it was a point in time where I was also selling things. I was selling eyelashes. I was selling lip glosses. I was just trying to get all up in the cosmetology field, cosmetics field. And I feel like the support was low with that as well. But again, being young, you take things more personal. But when you really look at it, it's like, am I doing this for you or am I doing this for me?
Real.
I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this because this is what I want to do in my life. This is the vision I see for myself. So I feel like the biggest thing was just realizing, okay, you don't have to support me, but somebody will. You know what I'm saying? Somebody is going to like what I'm doing. Somebody is going to appreciate what I'm doing. It doesn't have to be the people in front of me. It can be somebody that doesn't even live in New York. But that's why I just felt like, just keep going and stop taking everything so personal. This is your life, not theirs.
I love it. And she had the same conviction 3-4 years ago. And I absolutely appreciate that because there was a lot that you taught me. One of the things you taught me was I didn't know what an esthetician was. I was like, what is that? What do they do? And I remember you and I sitting down and you was breaking it down for me. We were looking at schools. We were trying to see which schools accepted financial aid. I love the fact that you were able to get like a viable certification that allowed you to continue within this field. I want to know, like, what advice would you give to teachers, counselors to better support students that want to go straight from high school to getting a certification, and going to a career pathway? Like, what would you want them to be able to understand, know, or do to support that student?
So what I want them to do is basically like the same thing me and you did. Like, okay, you said you want to go to school for this. It's probably not a college, but let's look at the options that you have for this. Let's see what they offer. Let's see how their payments is set up. You know what I'm saying? Like once somebody, of course, you can double check with them. You sure you don't want to do this or but once you see that someone's mind is set on something, I feel like motivate them to go towards their career path. It's never too late to go to college. That's one thing. Like, college is something that's never going to go anywhere. I can be 50 and decide to go to college. So that's never going to go anywhere. But I just feel like when that student comes to you and they confide in you and they tell you, listen, I know that this is what's normal, but this is what I want to do. I feel like that's the teacher's opportunity to say, okay, so cool. Let me learn more about that as a teacher. So that when I have another student that comes in here and they probably want to follow the same thing, I'm not just so college, 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 because that's not what's going to help you. And that's not what's going to make you, what is going to make you happy at the end of the day. So I just feel like teachers should basically be open to educating themselves on more things that's not just college. So just do that research with your student and help them weigh their options.
Boy, I love that. I think this is the conversation that needs to be had with like our peers, right? Because I think sometimes we forget that, you know, you guys deserve the motivation too, right? Like, you guys deserve to have somebody actually like support your dream, and support you in like moving forward. So, like, question for you as like a fellow entrepreneur or whatnot. Like, what do you feel like the key to surviving and thriving in your career is?
Oh, that's kind of tricky. I feel like, I don't know. It's a lot of trial and error. I feel like the key is understanding that you're going to go through trial and error, that you're going to go through slow periods, that you're going to have those moments where you're like, I don't know if this for me. Like, I don't know if I can do this. Why isn't nobody shopping? Why isn't nobody coming to get their makeup done? You're going to go through 1,000 emotions being an entrepreneur. And I feel like once you understand that and understand that you have to go through the motions, then this is really for you. Because I always say, like, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. A lot of people are in it for the money, but the money don't come that fast. You have to put in the work. And that is why when a lot of people start it, no matter what they're doing, sometimes they end up just falling off. Like, you start selling stuff and then by next year you ain't selling nothing no more, because I feel like maybe your heart wasn't really in it. So that is really like how I survive. I feel like I survive really because my heart is in it. This is what I want to do. I love the feeling I get when I purchase new makeup. Like, I'll be in the makeup store like, oh my God, I cannot wait to use this. Like, I can't wait to use it. Somebody come today. Come on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like you just have to be in it and you have to understand that it's not an easy path. It might sound like the easier way to a lot of people because, again, you're doing it to trying to get that escape, that fast money. But when you see that the money ain't always that fast, yeah.
I love it. Wise words from a wise woman.
Yeah, that little makeup girl. Now we're shifting to Medjine to kind of wrap this up. And in the segment, I love what we're doing here and exploring these different pathways. Medjine, you're one of the few students that I have the pleasure of supporting and getting into Macaulay. And also going to Baruch and doing business and like just having that whole experience. You and I talked candidly about, you know, just sort of like, one, what has your experience been with Macaulay? You talked about it's a phenomenon and just being like, hey, like, I wish I did these things to better prepare myself. Like, what has that experience been for you?
Being in Macaulay, it has definitely been a good experience, and I'm happy that you were the one to tell me about it because when we were doing the application and you asked me if I want to apply to Macaulay, I had never heard about it. So I was kind of like, no, like, I don't really care. I don't know what that is. And then, you know, when I actually got in and found out, you know, not many people actually got in, I'm like, oh, like, this wasn't something that was easy to get into. And so my experience so far has been really good. I think one of the things I really like is having an advisor that's very accessible. Like Brianna said, because if you're not in the honors program or you're not in SEEK, you kind of have to just like meet with whatever advisor is available, and like they're not as easily accessible. And I've had the privilege of having advisors that's, you know, available like most times when I need them, answering all the questions that I have. And also one thing I was very reluctant about was taking out loans. I was very adamant about trying to graduate undergrad with no debt. Like, I feel like it's okay to go in debt when you go to graduate school. If you get your master's, you get your PhD, all right. Like, those matter. But when you get your undergrad degree, whether I have a BBA from Baruch or I have it from Columbia, it's still a BBA. Like, the amount of Baruch graduates that are working on Wall Street is like almost as much as those from the Ivy League schools. So I'm very happy that I made the decision to go to Macaulay at Baruch, and be able to graduate debt free, because I'm learning just as much as they are at the other schools. And Baruch is a target school when it comes to business. So I'm getting just as much opportunities. So I'm very happy with my decision now. And I do wish that was something they probably educated us more about during high school, because if it wasn't for Mr. David, like I would have never even applied. Like I didn't even know. So yeah, so I've had a very good experience with Macaulay. And also they gave us a free MacBook. Who doesn't want a free MacBook?
Oh,
So
that
yeah.
sweetens the pot.
Right. You see Brianna,
Yeah.
Brianna's face? You see
I had to
Brianna?
buy my MacBook.
Right?
So, yeah, I love it. You were resistant before, and I knew like you definitely had like the ability to get into the program to survive. You talked about some challenges. You mentioned that, hey, I'm in this program, and there are people that came in here with all of these experiences already. What explain that gap, especially within business? You were just like people were coming in from high school already having done a bunch of different internships. Like, what is that gap between where you came in versus where they were starting from?
It was very hard at first. Like I felt very intimidated, like being around so many people that look like me, that knew like way more than I do, and just more about the business field. Like they already knew the importance of networking. They already knew they had to get a LinkedIn, have a good headshot, make sure all their experiences are on their LinkedIn. They knew the importance of internships. And it's like, whoa, when did we learn these things? I did not know about any of this. Like, sorry, John Jay, but y'all didn't tell me any of this. Like, I just came in knowing absolutely nothing. So it was very hard, because now I had to like, join clubs, and like I would go to events, I would go to networking events, and I would get a sense of imposter syndrome, because I had to teach myself how to be comfortable in spaces that were initially made for us. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
I would go into these spaces and it'll be like, I'm like the only Black girl here. I was like only 3 Black people here out of like 100. And it was like, dang, like no
Yeah.
representation. And I didn't learn about the importance of these things before. I feel like I was not prepared at all. Like it was a very steep learning curve, but um, and Baruch is very, very competitive. Like there's so many business clubs, and some of them are hard to get in, like as if you're trying to get a job. Like they interview you, first round interview, second round interview, stupid day, like 3 interviews
Mm.
back to back. Like, and it's like, dang, we just students, but some of these clubs, like they go hard. So it's very easy to feel the pressure. But I guess that's where your resilience comes in. Like, how much do you really want this? How much work are you going to put in? Are you going to join these clubs? Are you going to learn these skills? Which is what I did ultimately. Like, as I mentioned, joining different clubs. And I did learn these things. I got very comfortable with networking, which is something I hate doing, honestly. But I got very comfortable doing it. And now I'm telling everybody, add me on LinkedIn. Like, my LinkedIn looks really good. Like, go add me. So
Talk to
I
them.
definitely learned a lot, and I do feel way more comfortable now than how I felt freshman year. I think my biggest thing right now is just learning how to be comfortable taking up space. Like if I got this internship and this person
Mm.
from Yale got this internship, like I deserve it just as much as they did. They didn't just give it to me for no reason. Like I went through those interviews, I answered those questions, and they saw something in me, just like they saw the kids from Columbia, they saw the kids from Yale. And like when I interned over the summer, there was like a good amount from NYU, from Columbia, from Dartmouth. Like there were students from Ivy League schools, and I'm like, dang, I'm just from little old Baruch, and I'm interning with them. So it's been a learning curve, but I'm happy I went through it, and I'm happy I joined the clubs that I did, and I made connections that I did, because it's helped me a lot.
I love it. I love it. Let me tell you about Baruch. Baruch don't Baruch doesn't believe that they're little. I called Baruch one time. I was going to try to transfer, and the person literally said, "Hey, do you know who we are?" Like basically trying to play me. I was like, "Do you know who I am?" What? Like Baruch was on something, but I'm gonna let Baruch slide.
They have been consistently on the top 10 lists on every college list. I'm just saying, they can talk they talk.
I'm gonna let listen. I could talk my talk too. They know who I am, Baruch. Pass that message on, Regine. Ladies, I love that we've had the chance to kind of talk about your 3 different pathways, how you all thrive and succeeding, but also talking about how you could have been better supported. I love the sisterhood that you have with each other. Clearly, y'all all still really rock with each other, support each other. And I want that for y'all as y'all continue to grow in many different spaces. And like y'all are your network that can continue to like develop with each other. I have this last question, this last prompt that I want y'all to be able to answer. And this is like your shining moment. This is a reflective moment. This is your poetry, right? Like, so finish this prompt. In high school, I believed blank, and now I know blank. Who's going to go first? In high school, I believed blank, and now I know blank.
Okay, I could try.
Okay.
In high school, I believe, at least my senior year of high school, I believe like I was ready for college. I believe that I was just gonna be the same person that I was in high school, but I learned that I was not taught how to survive in college. I was just taught how to pass my regents, pass my classes, and that was it. Like, I realized I didn't learn anything about college. I didn't learn anything about career readiness, nothing. So in high school, I believed I was ready, but I realized I wasn't. So I think it's just knowing that, you can always do more to prepare. So yeah.
I appreciate that.
I'll go. So in high school, I believe college was a scam. And now I realize that it's not a scam. It's actually very beneficial for you, in terms of needing a degree for your career. And hopefully I'm able to put that degree to use. Hopefully as soon as I'm finished with college, I'm able to actually step out into a field, whether it's the medical field or if I decide to become a lawyer, and I'm able to implement that degree to help people because it's not easy after college, just because you have the degree doesn't mean you're going to get the job. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how it goes.
Love that. Tamir, you've been making all the faces.
Last but not least.
Because I don't know. Like, I'm over here thinking so hard. I have no idea. Let me see.
In high school, I believed blank, and now I know blank. It could be a change in mindset. It could be a change in how you view yourself. It could be anything. Or it could be something stayed the same.
Okay, in high school, I believe that college was a scam, and I still think it's a scam. Nah, no shade. But what did I think in high school for real? I wasn't doing a lot of thinking in high school. I was just going.
He's going. He's going. And now you have arrived, right? With a business.
I have it.
Okay.
Yeah, in high school, I believe that I would be a big makeup artist. And I still believe that I am going to be a big makeup artist. I feel like I always knew that I was going to branch out and do other things, which is why I went to esthetician school. So I'm not just going to stay in the makeup field. I'm going to branch out and do other things. But yeah, I feel like I've had that mindset all throughout high school. So that stayed the same.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Ms. P, I want you to wrap us up. As a practitioner and thinking about student pathways, we talked earlier about the old way of advising, and now us being able to kind of look at like different stories. Like, how do we advise a student to do like super competitive elitist programs, where it's predominantly white spaces, right? Like, how do we support a student that is saying like, hey, I have convictions on choosing a career path that does not require me to go to college? How do you advise a student that is just like, hey, I didn't necessarily have, the grade to kind of get to this particular place. I know my goal is for a 4-year program. I'm going to focus on getting into the door here and moving forward. Like, what would you say for those that are practitioners based on this story?
First and foremost is to listen, right? And listen, not to respond. Because I think that's what we get caught up as practitioners, right? We want to respond, and we want to respond in a biased way. We want to respond with our career path and what we did and what worked for us, but we're not listening to the person who is coming through. Like, they could already have this conviction of what they want to do, And the minute we don't listen and we don't hold space for them, right? They could be, right? Like now I'm waffling in. I was confident about what I wanted to do until I came to you and you shook my core, right? So I think for us as practitioners, we need to listen and listen not to respond and listen with the intent of supporting them to getting to the path that they want to get to. So that's my advice. That's y'all
Final word.
take it. Listen.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Listen. And here we are on track for all my people. I am Daitwan David, A.K.A. Dr. Change, and we're here with
Miss P. And we out.
yeah.
Bye, guys.
Right,